Lijepo pozdrav svima. Počinjemo sa današnjim razgovorom. Veliko mi je zadovoljstvo da pozdravim Erika i Jillian koji su danas naši gosti.
So it is my great pleasure to welcome Eric and Jillian, who are our guests tonight. Hello, everyone.
Kao što vjerojatno znate, Erik je osnivač Rekonektivnog iscjeljivanja. Jillian je direktorica razvoja i istraživanja pri Rekonekciji i danas ćemo provesti sat vremena u razgovoru s njima.
So Svemer just introduced you. He said, as you probably know, Eric is the founder of Rekonektiv Healing and Jillian is the development director. I'm sorry if I translated this poorly, for Rekonektiv Healing, and you will be talking to us tonight.
We're so happy to be here to share the conversation.
Vrlo smo sretni što smo ovdje sa vama da razgovaramo.
Ja bi počeo, ako mi dozvolite, s jednim pitanjem. Trenutno se nalazimo u vrijeme kad jako dominira strah u društvu i ima jako puno polariteta u razmišljanjima o trenutnim događanjima oko pandemije, lockdowna, cijepljenja. Mogli bi reći da smo u epicentru kaosa. Koliko taj kaos može biti katalista promjena kako na individualnom, tako i na našem kolektivnom nivou?
So Svemer said we live at a time when the experience of fear is very present in everyday life. Pandemic, fear of disease, death, fear of survival, existential fears. At the same time, polarity in perception of current events is very present. Pandemics, lockdown, vaccination, we could say that we're currently in the epicenter of chaos. How much can this chaos be a catalyst for change in both collective and individual level?
You know, I might suggest, first of all, that we not be too quick to equate chaos and fear. Fear is often associated with chaos from maybe, let's say, a not exceedingly centered position.
Thank you. Predložio bih da možda ne izjednačavamo kaos I strah u svakom trenutku.
So often when something is thrown at us, if we're not feeling very centered, chaos can appear as a form of fear.
Često kad nam se nešto dogodi neočekivano, kad je nešto na neki način bačeno na nas, kaos može uzrokovati strah.
Now, what part of us interprets as or experiences fear?
Koji dio nas interpretira ili osjeća strah?
Tends to be part of us that least wants to be disturbed. The personality and the ego.
To je obično dio koji najmanje želi biti uznemiren, osobnost ili ego.
And we could talk about how-tos all day long, how to not feel fear, how to not be upset by chaos.
I cijeli dan možemo razgovarati o tome kako da nešto ne radimo, kako da ne osjećamo strah, kako da ne osjećamo kaos.
We can follow approaches that have us meditating for 90 minutes twice a day and doing lots of different things.
Možemo imati pristup, recimo, meditacije 90 minuta 2 puta dnevno ili puno sličnih stvari.
It's a lot of work and it probably doesn't leave us with enough time to really feel fear.
To može biti jako puno posla I možda nećemo ni imati dovoljno vremena osjetiti strah.
Intriguingly, we find that during the Rekonektiv healing experience, ego does not seem to be present.
Ono što je intrigantno je da tijekom rekonektivnog iscjeljivanja ego kao da nije prisutan.
Fear does not appear to be present.
Izgleda kao da ni ne osjećamo strah.
our being is all that is present.
Jedina stvar i sve što je prisutno je naše biće.
And our true nature, our being, is one of love, not one of fear.
I naša prava priroda, naše pravo biće je ljubav, ne strah.
I might add that one of the most beautiful aspects of the reconnective healing experience
Dodala bih da je jedan od najljepših aspekata iskustva rekonektivnog iscjeljivanja
is that we become very aware of the difference between
da postanemo vrlo svjesni razlike
the activity of our experience in thoughts, feelings, behaviors, conditions, memories, cultural activities, and
aktivnosti naših, I'm sorry, would you be so kind to repeat activity of our...
One of the beautiful aspects of the reconnective healing experience is that we begin to understand the difference between our thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and experiences.
Znači da postanemo svjesni razlike naših misli, osjećaja, vjerovanja, iskustava.
And the infinite nature of who and what we really are that lies behind in the background of all changing experiences.
I beskrajne prirode onoga što uistinu jesmo, što je iza svega toga.
Bis es soweit ist, aber kümmert sich Sophie liebevoll um die Tiere. Nur einmal mit der Futterkiste rütteln und schon kommen sie vom Berg runter.
Ja molim samo Jillian, Erika i Anđelu da se unmutaju, jer sam sve ostale mutao. Može?
Okay, we're unmuted.
Okay. Eric, if you can unmute yourself, please, because I muted all the others. Thanks.
So let me say this more simply.
Reći ću ovo jednostavnije.
All experience, meaning thoughts, feelings, beliefs, behaviors, are a limitation.
Znači, sva iskustva, misli, osjećaji, slično su ograničavajuća.
Of the awareness that is the energy, light, and information found as the reconnective healing experience. So,
znači, ograničenje svjesnosti, energije, svjetlosti koje su u rekonektivnom iscjeljivanju.
So think of it as energy, light, and information is a continuous connection or sensation.
Dakle, razmislite o svjetlosti, energiji i informaciji kao stalnosti.
It's like getting a phone call to your very active mind that says, I'm here. I'm always here. I am happiness.
Znači, to je kao da dobijete telefonski poziv za vaš aktivni koji vam govori ja sam ovdje, ja sam cijelo vrijeme ovdje. Tu je prisutna sreća.
So we forget the presence or the continuous peace that we actually are amidst the activity of fear, anxiety, all that comes and goes. But you come to notice something that sits just behind fear that is always part of your being.
Dakle, zaboravljamo prisustvo konstantnog mira koji je u stvari iza straha, anksioznosti koja dolazi i prolazi iza tog stalnog mira.
So now let me give you a chance to pause, take a breath and smile.
Sad ću vam dati priliku da uzmete jednu malu pauzu, da udahnete i da se nasmiješite.
as we explore some of these beautiful concepts that we're talking about today.
Dok ćemo istraživati neke od ovih divnih stvari o kojima pričamo danas.
I can't another word, give me one or don't. Next. So, the good news is there's nothing to do.
Dobra vijest je ne trebate ništa raditi.
There's nothing to work at.
Ne trebate ni na čemu raditi.
There's nothing to try or take up your time or repeat or schedule into your busy weeks.
Ne trebate ništa pokušavati, ni ponavljati, ni pokušati naći mjesta za nešto u vašim užurbanim tjednima.
The energy, light, and information, the reconnective healing frequencies,
energija, svjetlost i informacija, frekvencije rekonektivnog iscjeljivanja,
whether we want to call them God or love or the universal intelligence, whatever name we want.
Bez obzira želite li to nazvati Bogom, ljubavlju, osobnom inteligencijom.
During the reconnective healing experience, we find that we simply become unveiled. We simply become the soul, the essence that we are.
Tijekom iskustva rekonektivnog iscjeljivanja otkrićete da ste na neki način otkriveni, kao da je skinut veo sa onoga što uistinu jeste.
And that isn't something we are adding to in order to find. It is something we're dissolving in order to recognize.
To nije nešto što dodajemo kako bismo pronašli, to je nešto što u stvari otkrivate, skidate slojeve kako biste prepoznali.
I love the word revelation because in Latin it means revelare or to lay bare.
Volim riječ otkrivenje jer u latinskom znači originalna riječ je latinska revelari koja znači u stvari otkrivanje ispod.
And that's what happens during the reconnective healing experience. You are laid bare.
I to je ono što se događa tijekom rekonektivnog iscjeljivanja, tijekom tog iskustva. Vi se otkrivate.
The stress, the frustrations, the worry, the fear, none of that is really you.
Stres, frustracija, zabrinutost, strah, ništa od toga niste vi.
Think for a moment of the blue sky. The blue sky is always blue, even though we might not always see the blue sky.
Zamislite plavo nebo. Plavo nebo je uvijek plavo, bez obzira što ga vi možda nekad ne vidite takvim.
We might see clouds, we might see storms, lightning or hear thunder.
Možete vidjeti oblake, možete vidjeti nevrijeme, možete vidjeti munje, možete čuti gromove.
But it is not the blue sky. It is not the essence that is you.
Ali to nije esencija, to nije plavo nebo. Plavo nebo je i dalje tu.
Reconnective healing and the experience of it allows us to make new discoveries of who we are as the infinite, because it simply clears away everything that has been disguising us as these other fears and upsets.
Dakle, iskustvo rekonektivnog iscjeljivanja nam omogućava nova otkrića. Omogućavamo otkriti što smo time što uklanja sve ono što nas na neki način blokira.
Disguising us under the appearance of not being healthy, not being happy, not experiencing love, and instead allows us to discover that all along we are that blue sky all along. That's what we are, love.
Dakle, uklanja sve ono što se skriva pod krinkom da nismo zdravi, da nismo sretni, da ne osjećamo ljubav, već nam otkriva da smo mi u stvari to plavo nebo, ljubav.
So one of the things that becomes apparent, the more familiar this murmur or sensation of energy, light, and information is revealed to you.
Jedna od stvari koje postaju očite kada se ukloni taj šum i kada dobijete osjećaj energije, svjetla, informaciju.
All of the ever-changing states and feelings that in body mind we have been trained to change.
Dakle, sva stanja koja se stalno mijenjaju, tijela i uma, koja smo naučeni mijenjati.
All of the activity of the body mind is just invited to rest or not rest.
Dakle, sva ta iskustva, sve te aktivnosti su pozvana da na neki način leže na nama ili da ne budu na nama.
While our awareness returns to itself.
Dok se naša svjesnost okreće sebi.
So, self, I am.
Ja sam.
Is different than myself.
Je drugačije od mene.
So often these ever-changing, discontinuous activities of thoughts and feelings that come and go all the time.
Često se te promjenjive aktivnosti, te nestalne aktivnosti tijela i uma
no longer mixed in with the same level of intensity.
Više ne miješaju sa istim stupnjem intenziteta.
And what lays bare or what is revealed
I ono što je otkriveno, ono što smo otkrili. I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch the last word you said. What is laid bare?
Is our being.
Je naše biće. Thank you.
And there's a simplicity to this that sometimes is the complexity.
I u tome leži jednostavnost koja je podnekad i kompleksna.
Thank goodness we don't have to figure this out in its complexity.
Hvala Bogu, hvala svemu što ne moramo razumjeti sve ovo u njoj potpune kompleksnosti.
We're sharing with you insights and comprehension about this, and yet, whether we know it or not, understand it or not, reconnective healing happens anyway.
Mi dobivamo nekakve uvide i saznanja, ali bez obzira da li ih dobijemo ili ne, rekonektivno iscjeljenje je tu.
In the experience of reconnective healing, often we simply discover that we've had our own healing experience, physical changes, mental, emotional, life relationship.
Često tijekom iskustva rekonektivnog iscjeljivanja otkrijemo da imamo nekakve promjene mentalne, psihičke, životne.
We even allow ourselves eventually to accept that something has happened and accept that we can't quite figure out how.
Čak si ponekad i dozvolimo priznati da se nešto dogodilo.
We discover that peaceful centeredness that we are even in the appearance of endless chaos.
I otkrivamo mirnu centriranost samih sebe unutar beskrajnog kaosa.
Isn't that just really kind of cool?
Nije li to baš super?
I mean, there's nothing we really have to do. Instead, we may simply allow ourselves to receive it. It almost seems selfish until we look at what receiving really is.
Ono što je fascinantno da u stvari ne trebamo ništa napraviti, dovoljno je samo dozvoliti si primiti nešto. Na neki način to djeluje gotovo sebično.
Because receiving is our natural design.
Jer primanje je ono kako smo prirodno napravljeni, za što smo stvoreni.
Receiving is primary. Without allowing ourselves to receive, how do we ever have anything to give or share?
Primanje je primarna stvar, jer ako nismo sposobni, ako nešto ne primimo, kako ćemo moći nešto imati ili podijeliti?
Even in all the seeming discord of physical injuries and emotional upsets and nervousness about having to stay in the house for the next lockdowns.
Čak i u prividnom nesrazmjeru, nervoze, toga što morate ostati u kući tijekom lockdowna ili možda imate nekakvu bolest.
Reconnective healing experience allows you to experience that centered peace. And let me show you a little bit of how.
Rekonektivno iscjeljivanje, iskustvo rekonektivnog iscjeljivanja vam omogućava da osjetite tu centriranost, taj mir u samima sebi.
We're all going through a lot of things and we talk about it. If not out loud, we talk about it to ourselves.
Svi prolazimo kroz puno stvari i pričamo o tome. Ako i ne pričamo o tome na glas, pričamo o tome u svojoj glavi.
I am in lockdown. When can I ever see people? I am upset. I am hungry. I am tired. I am frustrated. We have all of these I ams.
U lockdownu sam, kad ću moći uspjeti vidjeti ljude, kad ću moći izaći, kad ću gladan sam, iznerviran sam.
Our nature tends to focus on who we are not.
Naša priroda je takva da se često fokusira na ono što nismo.
Our nature tends to hear a tiny little I am and a giant frustrated, a tiny little I am and a giant angry, a tiny little I am and a giant in pain.
Naša priroda ima tendenciju vidjeti mali ja sam i onda veliki frustriran, mali ja sam i veliki ljut, ja sam i veliki boli me.
And the reality is that no thought, feeling, sensation, experience is essential in any way to knowing I am. It is not essential.
A stvarnost je da nijedna misao, nijedan osjećaj, nijedna stvar koju doživite, nijedno iskustvo nema veze sa onim što vi uistinu jeste.
A matter of fact,
U stvari,
no thought or perception or feeling is even inherent within that I am.
u stvari nijedna misao, nijedna percepcija, nijedan osjećaj nije dio onoga što vi jeste.
Yes?
Okay. So, for example, pick one of your fears or concerns right now and then say to yourself, I am blank. I am in pain. I am in fear. I am hungry. I am whatever. If you want, you can write it down or punch it into your iPhone or just say it to yourself. Say it now.
Uzmite za primjer neki od vaših strahova ili nešto oko čega ste zabrinuti. Na primjer, trenutno me nešto boli, trenutno sam u strahu od nečega, trenutno sam, na primjer, gladan. Možete si to zapisati i upisati u telefon ili nešto slično.
Notice how you focus on the word that follows I am.
Primijetite kako ste se fokusirali na riječ koja ide iza onoga ja sam.
Notice how that word or activity that follows I am seems to make you feel.
Primijetite kako ta riječ ili aktivnost koja slijedi iza ja sam, kako se osjećate zbog toga.
But that activity is an illusion in a sense. That activity is not you.
Ali ta aktivnost je iluzija, u smislu da ta aktivnost niste vi.
Say it again to yourself with bigger focus on I am and smaller focus on that little word of activity or feeling.
Sad si ponovite istu stvar, ali na taj način da ćete naglasiti ja sam, a staviti puno manji fokus na ono što slijedi, na tu aktivnost ili osjećaj.
Notice how the I am feels to you.
Primijetite kako ja sam, kakav vam je sad osjećaj u vezi toga.
Focus more on the I am. Bigger focus on I am. Smaller focus on that little object or feeling or experience.
Sad se fokusirate još više na ovaj dio ja sam, a još manje na ovaj objekt, na to kako se osjećate, na osjećaj ili na aktivnost.
Notice how I am tends to bring you more into a calm, centered peace. It's never really disturbed by the object that follows it.
Razmislite kako o ja sam vas nekako smiruje i dovodi vas u malo stanje veće centriranosti, u stanje mira, bez obzira na ovu riječ koja slijedi.
So another way just simply to explore this same exercise is you might say, I am hungry.
Jedan primjer, malo druga, ista stvar na drugi način je, recite recimo, ja sam gladan, gladna.
So as Eric was suggesting, if we take away hungry, the activity, and we simply ask ourselves, what do I refer to when I say I am? To what experience do you refer to when you say I am?
Ako uzmete, dakle, rečenicu ja sam gladan, gladna i ako maknete ovaj drugi dio gladan, gladna, na što se odnosi prvi dio ja sam?
I would love you to open the chat and have someone share if they'd like. To what experience do you refer to when you say I am?
Dakle, voljela bi da možda upišete u ovaj razgovor sa strane kakvo je vaše iskustvo kada se koncentrirate na taj dio ja sam.
Is there any experience other than the knowing of it? I am.
Postoji li neko drugo iskustvo osim toga što ste svjesni ja sam?
You know this more clearly than you know anything about any part of yourself. You know
jasnije nego bilo što drugo.
Because the knowledge of your being is the only continuous knowingness that is present. Everything else, hungry, sad, happy, all of this activity comes and goes. And we want you to play with this.
Jer je znanje toga da postojite, svjesnost vašeg postojanja je jedina stalnost. Sve ostalo, sve ove druge aktivnosti su prolazne.
So the reconnective healing experience will directly,
dakle, iskustvo rekonektivnog iscjeljivanja,
create the inquiry into the nature of who you are.
Će direktno ući u pitanje toga što ste vi. Tko ste vi?
Happiness.
Sreća.
Beauty.
Ljepota.
love,
Ljubav.
God,
Bog.
I.
Ja.
And during the training program with Svermir, you will be metaphorically swimming in this, immersed in this, sometimes they say steeping in it like tea bags.
I tijekom treninga programa sa svemirom biti ćete metaforički uronjeni u tome, plivat ćete u tome, bit ćete kao male vrećice čaja.
But not only is it that you will be steeping in this, but you will also be learning how to open doors to allow others to access the reconnective healing experience.
Ali nećete samo vi biti uronjeni u to, već ćete naučiti otvoriti vrata kako i drugima omogućiti da uđu u ovo iskustvo rekonektivnog iscjeljivanja.
So we might ask, where is the healing activity or result in connective healing?
Sad možete možda postaviti pitanje, dobro, a gdje je onda dio sa iscjeljivanjem, koja je to iscjeljujuća aktivnost rekonektivnog iscjeljivanja?
And we would tell you, do not confuse any result that is unleashed through a reconnective healing experience as where your attention should limit itself. Are you following that? Should I repeat that?
Yes. Dakle, nemojte miješati rezultat koji se oslobodi sa onim gdje je vaša pažnja, na čemu je vaša pažnja fokusirana.
Your healing doesn't live in the result of a reconnective healing experience. It is the healing in the awareness of your being, that precedes the result.
Iscjeljenje ne leži u rezultatu rekonektivnog iscjeljivanja, tog iskustva. Iscjeljenje leži u činjenici, u vašoj svjesnosti sebe.
We tend to limit our perspective to, did my brain tumor go away? Can I move my arm again? And maybe can I feel love for my spouse in the way I used to?
Imamo tendenciju ograničavanja perspektive na stvari poput da li mi je tumor nestao, da li sad mogu pomicati ruku, jesam li ponovo jednako zaljubljena u svog partnera kao prije.
So we find ourselves chasing states or feelings or results.
I često se nađemo kako lovimo nekakva stanja ili osjećaje ili rezultate.
Then we quickly grab the result that we like, we put it into a box, we wrap it up with a ribbon, and we put it on the mantle of the fireplace, and we go, there we go, that's my healing.
I onda se nađemo u situaciji da zgrabimo taj rezultat koji smo si zamislili, stavimo ga u nekakvu kutiju, zavežemo ga sa mašnom i stavimo si ga na kamin ili na policu.
It's like packaging up the 10%, the tip of the iceberg above the ocean, and totally missing the 90% that allows that iceberg to come into awareness in the first place.
I to je u stvari kao onih 10% vrha ledenog brijega, kao da ste se koncentrirali na to, a u potpunosti zanemarujete onih 90% ledenog brijega koje u stvari niste vidjeli i koji omogućavaju da i ovih 10% ledenog brijega postoji.
You know, it's like taking an aspirin to get rid of a headache and saying, my headache is gone, that's the healing.
To je kao da uzmete aspirin da biste se riješili glavobolje i onda vam prođe glavobolje i vi kažete odlično, sad sam izliječen.
And yet in the reconnective healing experience, if your headache goes away, that's only the beginning, that's only the indicator of such a phenomenal healing and evolutionary experience for you.
U iskustvu rekonektivnog iscjeljivanja ta glavobolja koja nestaje je tek početak evolucije, promjena i iscjeljenja.
It's what we're looking at, and therefore we're looking for it and only allowing ourselves to see or come into a realization of that much.
To je ono što gledamo i gledajući u to shvaćamo da gledamo samo taj jedan majušni dio.
The experience is is a finite, a limited portion of the infinite beings that we are.
Iskustvo je jedna određena, ograničen, mali dio onoga što u stvari jesmo.
Even the feeling of gratitude, even the state of gratitude is a limitation. Why?
Čak je i osjećaj zahvalnosti, stanje zahvalnosti na neki način ograničenje. Zašto?
Well, a state or a feeling most certainly will bring the chemistry, the neuroplasticity of your brain, the biology or chemistry of your body into a state or a feeling.
Dakle, dovesti će kemiju, neuroplasticitet, kemiju vašeg tijela u određeni osjećaj.
Just by its very limitation, that it is finite, you will continue to have to chase that state or feeling.
Samom činjenicom što je ograničeno, morat ćete opet iznova pokušavati doći do tog stanja ili osjećaja.
And no matter how exhilarating one moment or even one whole year may be, it will come to an end.
Bez obzira koliko je fantastičan, uzbuđujuć, uzvišen taj trenutak ili možda čak čitava godina nečeg takvog osjećaja, to je ipak nešto čemu će doći kraj.
So we reveal the source that lies in the background of gratitude.
Ono što mi radimo je otkrivamo izvor koji leži iza zahvalnosti.
The reconnective healing experience is what modulates the background of all known experience.
Iskustvo rekonektivnog iscjeljivanja je ono što modulira pozadinu svih osjećaja.
Just like when you go to the movies.
Kao kad odete u kino.
Or when you'll be going to the movie again. Sometime.
Ili kad ćete ponovo moći otići u kino.
When your grandchildren can go to the movies.
Kad će vaši unuci moći ići u kino.
You rarely notice the screen in the theater.
Rijetko ćete primijetiti da postoji platno u kinu.
Your attention is in such anticipation of the future movie and the activity of the experience.
Ono na što ste usredotočeni je budućnost, taj film koji će doći i iskustvo koje ćete osjetiti.
And the film appears, or the movie appears on the screen.
I onda krene film.
And it's magnificent.
I fantastičan je.
You are walking in the streets of Paris.
Hodate ulicama Pariza.
And there's beautiful sunsets and sunrises.
I vidite prekrasne zalaske i izlaske sunca.
And everything in your body is exhilarated.
I sve u vašim tijelima je prekrasno uzbuđeno.
And it's so real.
I to je tako stvarno.
That it is your reality.
Da je to tad vaša stvarnost.
And then the movie ends and the screen goes dark.
I onda film završi i platno se zamrači.
And everything that was clothing the screen disappears.
I sve što je bilo, to platno, nestaje.
And we recognize that the movie was never there.
I onda shvaćate da taj film u stvari nikad nije postojao.
Only one continuous activity that was there, and that was the screen.
Jedina aktivnost koja je u stvari postojala cijelo to vrijeme je to platno.
And that is the reality of your true nature.
I to je stvarnost vaše stvarne prirode.
Unaffected by whether it's a good movie or a really not good movie.
Na koju nema utjecaja je li to bio dobar film ili stvarno dobar film.
Always shining in the background. Always shining.
Uvijek sjaji u pozadini, uvijek sjaji.
Regardless of the content.
Bez obzira na sadržaj.
This is the Rekonektiv healing experience. Your awareness that you are the screen.
To je iskustvo rekonektivnog iscjeljivanja. Vaša svjesnost, vaša svijest da ste vi to platno.
That always says yes to every movie.
Koje uvijek kaže da svakom filmu.
And is never affected or harmed by the experience. It's just that sometimes we don't allow ourselves to see our infinite perfection behind that metaphoric movie.
I to platno nikad nije, na njega nikad ne utječe to što je prikazano, niti ono bude na neki način ozlijeđeno.
By now you're sitting there wondering, what the hell am I going to walk into it this weekend with Svamir?
I sad se možda pitate, o Bože, u što ulazim u ovom vikendu sa svemirom.
What am I going to walk into during that training program?
U što ću se uplesti u taj tjedan treninga, programa.
Unlearning and untraining all of the things we've allowed ourselves to buy from other people's belief systems and take on, hiding the essence of what we really know ourselves to be.
Odučiti se i odtrenirati se od svega onog što smo pokupili od drugih ljudi, što smo nekako stavili na sebe.
So, enough brain travel right now during some of this talking, but I'd love to open up a little bit. Svamir, if you've got other questions, or if some of the people have questions.
Da, ako netko ima pitanje, slobodno natipkajte u chatu ili na chatu se javite da bi htjeli pitati pitanje. Maybe we will see if we have some questions in the chat.
Good.
But maybe I would like to use the opportunity and ask one question. There is many people who are our students who went through the portal and are waiting for the catalyst, and also there are some of practitioners here with us tonight. And one very common question that we experience in facilitating Rekonektiv healing and with people who don't know so much about Rekonektiv healing experience is people try to focus on a certain outcome from the healing. How we can navigate out of that approach?
Would you like me to translate this quickly in Croatian?
Mogu ja brzinski,
Može.
brže. Just to translate quickly in Croatian. Dakle, ono što sam pitao Erika i Jillian je to da vrlo često se kad radimo s ljudima koji ne znaju previše o iskustvu rekonektivnog iscjeljivanja i susretnemo sa tim da želimo upravljati sa rezultatom iscjeljivanja. I moje pitanje je bilo kako taj fokus sa upravljanja, odnosno determinacije onog što želimo, kako da to maknemo.
A lot of this is the way our brains have been set up to think.
Dakle, naši mozgovi su na neki način programirani, naučeni da rade na taj način.
Now, we just experienced, I'll say, concept, for lack of a better word, or a model that took us outside of and beyond our brains.
Mi na neki način osjetimo koncept ili modul koji nas na neki način vodi izvan naših mozgova, umova.
I called it brain travel, but really it was dissolving otherness and allowing you to receive understanding beyond the words that were spoken.
Ja to zovem putovanjem mozga ili putovanjem recimo izvan mozga, ali na neki način to je na neki način micanje stvarnosti i putovanje izvan. I'm sorry, would you be so kind to just repeat the last part? Dissolving and traveling beyond.
Dissolving otherness and releasing beyond the words that were spoken.
I idemo, dakle, iza, dalje od samih riječi koje se izgovaraju.
Now, if, for example, you were facilitating reconnective healing, you would be interacting with someone coming to you with one level of understanding.
Dakle, u slučaju kada pružete rekonektivno iscjeljenje, vi imate interakciju sa nekim tko ima drugačiji stupanj razumijevanja.
And suddenly you discover that you're not just going to stand there and wave your hands in the air. You are here to share, to be the light that you are for others to also discover more of who they are.
Dakle, i vi otkrivate da nećete samo stajati i mahati rukama, vi u stvari dijelite, vi ste svjetlo koje omogućava i drugim ljudima da postanu ono što jesu.
I would also, if you're feeling very practical.
I'm sorry, if you're feeling
very practical,
ako ćete vrlo praktično,
you might say to someone, the reconnective healing experience.
Možete nekome reći da je iskustvo rekonektivnog iscjeljenja
is the way in which you become aware of all possibility before any experience defines your life.
To je način na koji postajete svjesni svih mogućnosti prije nego što bilo kakvo iskustvo na neki način oblikuje vaš život.
So any problem or imbalance or discomfort your friend, family member, or client may have is simply understood as not where the problem exists in a way. So,
dakle, bilo koji problem, disbalans, neugoda koji mogu osjećati ta osoba koja dolazi kod vas, vaš prijatelj, član obitelji ili slično, you said it's not where
the problem or discomfort or sadness actually exists.
To nije mjesto gdje taj problem, te disbalans, ta tuga u stvari postoje.
So their reconnective healing experience is going to reveal who and what they are prior to any limitation. It's going to reveal the entirety of their wholeness before. We refer to it as before beyond.
Mi to zovemo prije i dalje od. Dakle, otkrit će im tko su i što su prije tog ograničenja koje otkrive. Otkrit će im cijelost njihovog bića.
But this isn't based on time.
Ovo nije bazirano na vremenu.
It isn't based on space.
Niti na prostoru.
It is the truth or the infinite nature of their self. And
neograničena priroda njih samih.
So somehow you are better, in a way you are better off to simply express that healing isn't a part of any problem.
Možda je bolje da im na neki način objasnite da iscjeljenje nije dio nekog problema.
And your knowingness, meaning the presence that you recognize as your being, separate from any activity, is what you are receiving during a session, and that is what they are receiving during a session.
Dakle, saznanje toga da vaše postojanje postoji, da ste vi tu bez obzira na te aktivnosti i stvari koje se događaju izvan vas.
We have one question.
Go ahead.
Jana would like to ask a question. Jana, can you unmute yourself and ask the question, please?
You let me check. Hello, everyone. Good evening.
Hello.
Hello. I would like to ask you something, actually to share my experience of facilitating personal reconnection last week. The thing is...
For translation.
Evo, Žana bi htjela podijeliti jedno iskustvo sa omogućavanjem rekonektivnog iscjeljivanja prošli tjedan.
Sa sesijom osobne rekonekcije.
Sesijom, ispričavam se.
Personal reconnection, and the thing is, the very strange thing was, my friend was one who was receiving personal reconnection, and he agreed that our other friend was present there, and I want to say something about her, why we invited her. I don't know how to call these people, but she has very open third eye. Actually, she can see aura, I mean human aura and aura of trees.
Dakle, prijatelj je bio primatelj, a bila je prisutna i prijateljica koja može vidjeti stvari, koja može vidjeti aure.
And it was very, actually we invited her. I would like actually to see what is going on from her eyes. And the thing is, she said to both of us, I mean to my friend, that she saw it looks like energetic or energy parasite above his head. It was greenish, as she described, because I was focused on very precise, as you know, routine during personal reconnection.
Love, can I ask you to pause for translation for a moment and then let me say something?
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. It's fine. Dakle, pozvali su tu prijateljicu koja može vidjeti aure kako bi im rekla što ona vidi tijekom sesije i rekla da je iznad glave tog prijatelja nad kojim je rađena sesija, da je primijetila energetskog parazita iznad njegove glave koji je bio zelenkaste boje.
And then, sorry,
question,
yeah.
What your friend is seeing is for her. Let me repeat that. What your friend is seeing is only for her. That's right.
Dakle, primjedba je da je ono što je prijateljica vidjela, to je tu za nju. Ono što je vidjela, to je bilo ne slika za nju.
Sure.
Part of our healing is recognize that, not to go, oh my goodness, there's something over the head that's a parasite that somehow needs to be needs to be seen and recognized and killed or healed.
Dakle, dio je onoga što je za nas je da prepoznamo da nema nečega što je iznad glave, da nema nekog parazita koji treba biti iscijeljen ili ubijen.
I need to emphasize, please, that I was not involved in any kind of these kind of explanations, diagnosis, or even which is related to personal reconnection. I mean, it was day one, and it was only that I would like to share what she saw in terms of that was quite new for me. This was the first time I was hearing something like this.
Žana želi reći da ovo ni na koji način nije obojeno njom, to nije bila njena primjedba ni ništa, ona samo prenosi što je ta druga osoba koja je bila prisutna rekla i izgovorila i vidjela.
Zana, I would suggest, and it's such a great example, I'm so glad you've asked this question and shared the way that you have. I want you to consider
želim reći da je ovo odličan primjer i htjela bih dati, ovo je fantastična stvar koju ste spomenuli, htjela bih dati jedan prijedlog.
I want you to consider what happens when the infinite is reduced into a picture, a sound, a third eye emanation. You are facilitating something infinite. And right? And right. Now you've asked your friend, which is perfect, to watch, to observe, right?
Mm-hmm. So, dakle, pitanje je, razmislite što se dogodi kada se nešto što je beskrajno reducira na sliku, na zvuk, na percepciju trećeg oka.
And with every word or explanation of her vision, she starts to clothe, qualify, give an identity.
Reduce.
To this completely unnameable, unexplainably infinite exchange, yes?
Dakle, svakom riječju, svakim objašnjenjem nešto što je potpuno izvan mogućnosti da se nazove, što je ogromno, se na neki način smanjuje i kvalificira, reducira.
And this is the nature of the body-mind.
I to je priroda tijela i duha.
We are a limitation. So
mi smo ograničeni.
We are the reconnective healing frequencies experiencing themselves as us in a limitation, right?
Rekonektivno iscjeljenje je znači osjećanje nas unutar naših ograničenja.
Not a limitation like something small or negative, a obscuration, yes? A clothing of, a covering of, yes?
Dakle, ne radi se o nečemu što je malo i ograničeno, već jednostavno u nekom smislu odjeća, okvir.
So you're facilitating an infinite, we'll say, pattern, a pattern of an infinite receiving, yes? In the personal reconnection, yes?
Vi osobnom rekonekcijom omogućavate uzorak beskrajnog primanja.
And your friend is clothing it and sharing a perception, a thought, a feeling of what it is.
To her.
So you have to understand, this becomes the limitation, and you can free yourself now from that.
A ono što je vaša prijateljica je napravila, na neki način to obukla, ona je dijelila svoju percepciju, svojih misli, onoga što je to njoj, kako je to njoj prikazano.
You're walking in the wrong direction.
Hodate u krivom smjeru.
You turn around and you walk towards yourself.
Okrenite se i hodite prema sebi.
Okay, I didn't want to make any join together what is personal reconnection for me as a facilitator or even as the one who received personal reconnection. It was quite surprising for me in a way that I felt that I cannot even imagine the whole possibilities of what personal reconnection could do. I mean, not do, but the options are infinite. So this was one of the many, and her perception was just putting more dots at the end. Like there is no.
We translate that before we respond.
Sure. Dakle, rekla da ona u stvari ovo nije željela povezati sa svojim iskustvom, niti iskustvom osobe koja je primala sesiju, već samo da je ta perspektiva druge osobe bila dokaz da se ne može ni zamisliti što sve rekonekcija može napraviti, da je u stvari ostavila više otvorenih točkica na kraju iskustva.
So the reconnective healing experience is the dissolving of dots at the end and the dissolving of form and the dissolving of limitation. That's the reconnective healing experience.
Dakle, iskustvo rekonektivnog iscjeljivanja je u stvari rastapanje, uklanjanje tih točkica na kraju, te forme i ograničenja.
So observe and recognize that the mind is seeking something added or other than infinite.
Okay.
Dakle, promatrajte, prepoznajte da traži nešto dalje, nešto manje od beskrajnog.
And you can't add to infinite. Anything you add to infinite becomes a reduction.
Okay. Okay, I understand. Thank you for your feedback on this.
Wait, we'll let her translate, please.
Sure. Dakle, you said you cannot
add to the infinite.
Yeah.
Anytime you add to the infinite, you add a frame through which you look at reducing the infinite.
You reduce, yes. Dakle, ne možete dodati beskrajnom. Svaki put kad pokušate dodati, kad pokušate staviti nekakav okvir na beskrajno, vi ga u stvari na neki način smanjujete.
Maybe to an image that represents the infinite, but the image itself is not.
Možda na sliku koja predstavlja beskonačnost, ali ona sama ne može biti beskonačna.
The reconnective healing experience of personal reconnection is really just one awareness. It is so simple. And part of you coming to a catalyst program is for you to unlearn, unveil, reveal, lay bare, and be in the knowingly of that which you are.
Dakle, dio dolaska na program je da odučite ono što ste, recimo, pogrešno naučili, da razotkrijete, da otkrijete, da ogolite, da znate ono što vi jeste.
Before the dots, before the dots, before the words, before the colors, before the sensation, before
the addition,
before beyond.
Prije točkica, prije riječi, prije boja, prije osjećaja, prije onog što je dodano.
And we hope that you are very curious about being or the knowing of your reality. We hope you are very curious.
Nadamo se da ste vrlo radoznali u vezi vašeg postojanja, u vezi onoga što vi stvarno jeste u svojoj stvarnosti.
So as a facilitator, we have an opportunity to either be the light or be drawn into someone else's illusion and perspective. I feel that this is your invitation to say, I understand how you are seeing this through limited perspective. Let me stay here as the light and allow you to release that as appropriate.
Dakle, kao praktičar, kao osoba koja radi, vi možete ili biti svjetlost ili možete biti uvučeni u tuđu perspektivu ili tuđu iluziju. Dakle, budite svjetlost.
Okay. I feel that way anyhow.
Thank you.
We know.
We know.
We know. Zana.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, to walk from the infinite to the finite.
Kad hodate iz beskonačnog u konačno ili ograničeno,
is an important investigation.
To je bitno je istraživanje.
We are told that we journey to enlightenment.
Kaže nam se da putujemo prema prosvjetljenju.
There's something extraordinary to this.
Postoji nešto izuzetno u tome.
The reconnective healing experience reveals that you are already enlightenment.
Iskustvo rekonektivnog iscjeljivanja otkriva da ste već prosvjetljeni.
You are not journeying anywhere.
Ne putujete nikamo.
You are reconnecting to where you already are, always are, and will always be.
Povezujete se sa onim što već jeste, gdje ste uvijek bili i što ćete uvijek biti.
Before you become an experience.
Prije nego što postanete iskustvo.
And your body. Yeah.
I tijelo.
Trust you're enough. This reminds me, thank you for this, on Solomon Speaks. It was my favorite quote while having first months after the training program. So I just need to clarify one more time, please, that it was not that I was investigating what was going on. It was the circumstances. It was just piling up that I was trying to do some nice thing for my friend, because perhaps she would be attending the program in Croatia from the one side, and from the other hand I was facilitating personal reconnection, and as the result it was this story.
Zana?
Dakle, ono što je bitno je, dakle, tvrdnja vjerujte da ste dovoljno, da ste vi dovoljni. To je gospođa Žana rekla da je njoj bilo jako bitno nakon njenog treninga, i htjela je samo naglasiti da ova priča koju je ispričala, da se nije radilo o nekom njenom istraživanju, što se događa, da je samo htjela napraviti nešto lijepo za prijateljicu i za prijatelja, pa je iz svega toga i nastala ova priča koju je ispričala.
And Zana, as Eric said, your true nature as energy, light and information orchestrated the perfect healing just for you.
I agree so.
Evo, vaša prava priroda je omogućila savršeno iscjeljenje koje je upravo tu za vas i upravo onako kako vama treba.
You are now more knowingness than knowledge.
Sad više znate ovo, više ste znanje.
I fully agree. My life is completely different in terms of light. So it continues to be.
Potpuno se slažem, moj život je potpuno drugačiji u smislu svjetlosti.
So we have enjoyed being here with you. Jillian has another appointment right now she needs to head for. I can be here to answer a few more questions and chat a little longer, however, because I love that.
Evo, bilo mi je lijepo sa nama. Jillian sad treba otići, ali dr. Erik može još ostati i odgovoriti na neka pitanja ako ih imate.
Jillian, thank you very much. It was a pleasure to see you and hope to see you soon.
Yes, and thank you so much for having us today. It was really our honor and pleasure to share the conversation.
Hvala vam što smo danas bili s vama i bio je užitak dijeliti ovaj razgovor sa vama.
And thank you, Svamir, so very much for the leadership and presence that you are for this experience in this region of the world. We're really grateful for that.
Svemire, hvala ti na vodstvu i prisustvu u ovom dijelu svijeta. Uistinu smo ti zahvalni na tome.
And Angela, thank you for the translation.
Thank you very much and for your kindness and repeating the things I didn't quite catch. Thank you.
Well, it won't be the same without Jillian. It never is, but you've got me.
Neće biti isto bez Jillian, ali imamo doktora Erika.
Da li ima netko pitanje? Slobodno može podići ruku ili se unmutati. Ili napišite na chat. Ukratko.
So Svemir is asking if there are any questions. You can either raise your hand or unmute yourself or write the question.
Susanna had her hand raised.
Yes, let me just... Suzana, možeš se ti sama unmutat, molim te? Moraš se unmutat da bi te mogli čuti.
Susanna, can you unmute yourself?
Right, and can I add one thing, Angela, for you to translate?
Sure.
Because there are so many of us, if you raise your hand in front of the camera, the only reason I saw Susanna was because she's on the first page. If you use the hand raising function, then we know that you're here and you're guaranteed to be seen.
Thank you. Dakle, budući da vas ima toliko puno, jedini razlog zašto je Suzana viđena da digla ruku je zato što je na prvoj stranici od svih ljudi koji su ovdje navedeni. Ako imate neko pitanje koje biste htjeli postaviti, možda je bolja opcija da iskoristite funkciju na Zoomu dizanja ruke. Ili naravno uvijek možete i napisati pitanje ili napisati da vi imate pitanje pa ćemo vas pronaći.
Jediנה, samo se moraš unmutati. Dakle, dolje, desno, lijevo, na dolje ti je mali mikrofon koji moraš stisniti da bi te mogli čuti.
So Svemir is just explaining the unmute button because we cannot unmute Suzana.
Ili napiši naprosto u chatu onda ako ni...
Or she might write...
Susanna is unmuted, so Susanna, let her know she can talk.
Okay.
Suzana, može, čujemo te, slobodno.
I don't hear her.
Suzana, možete postaviti pitanje slobodno? Izvolite.
Maybe she just raised her hand and didn't mean to.
I don't know.
Okay. Well, if any of you would like to ask a question, please hit the hand raise button. We will see you and we will call on you. Just remember, every time you finish speaking, even if you're speaking English, we have to pause and allow for translation for everyone else, or all they hear is static.
Dakle, evo još jednom se ponavlja, ako želite postaviti pitanje, molimo vas koristite ovaj gumbić za podizanje ruke i zamolimo vas naravno kada je trenutak da se pitanje prevede na koji već jezik treba. Okay, I think we have a question from Jokic on the chat. I will translate it in Croatian. Njeno pitanje...
Angela, you're staticky right now?
Yeah. I don't know if you can hear me. I cannot hear Susanna, but I can see the question. I would like to know Dr. Eric's experience with animals, because as I have pets and more focused on them for reconnective healing. So I will just quickly translate it in Croatian. Njeno pitanje je doktoru Eriku kakvo je njegovo iskustvo sa životinjama, jer ona ima kućne ljubimce i više se fokusira na njih za rekonektivno iscjeljenje.
Would you like to know a very special way of facilitating a reconnective healing experience for animals?
Želite li znati za jedan vrlo poseban način za omogućavanje rekonektivnog iscjeljenja na životinjama? Da, molim.
It's the same way you facilitate a reconnective healing experience for anyone and everyone. Just recognize that we're all animals. It's just that some of us are wearing fursuits and others of us are not.
Dakle, odgovor je način je isti kao i za svakog ili bilo kog drugog. Svi smo mi životinje, samo neki od nas nose krznena odjela, a neki ne. Darin odgovor je, tako sam i mislila.
Animals have a little less of a mind games that they play with themselves because they're not analyzing like people are, but you know, life is life and love is love.
Životinje igraju malo manje mentalnih igara, one manje analiziraju od nas, ali u principu je sve to vrlo slično, isto. Život je život, ljubav je ljubav.
You know, the funny thing about healing is that the more complexity and detail you are taught it with, or that it comes described with, the less it's likely really healing.
Ono što je zanimljivo je da što je nešto kompleksnije, što se više detalja koristi za opisivanje, češće se manje radi o iscjeljivanju. Darija je još komentirala da ima vrlo pozitivna iskustva sa životinjama.
The most difficult thing about healing is understanding that the complexities are an illusion. Reconnective healing is really elegant simplicity.
Najteža stvar za razumijevanje je da kod iscjeljenja je da je kompleksnost iluzija. Rekonektivno iscjeljenje je elegantnost jednostavnosti.
Generally, the more complicated things are taught, sometimes it's just an excuse to find a new way and a reason to take your money as new students.
Vrlo često što je nešto kompleksnije, što se stavlja više kompliciranih stvari, najčešće se radi o stvarima da je to samo pokušaj da se od učenika uzme novac.
You, underneath all of the disguise and the complications, are healing, and healing is you sharing yourself. Not doing the healing, simply being healing and allowing yourself to receive in the process.
Ispod svih maski i komplikacija je to da ste vi iscjeljenje i da vi primate i dajete, dozvoljavate proces.
In the reconnective healing experience, we release what is not us. All that is left is healing and being, and therefore our healing, our receiving, our being is everyone's healing, receiving, and being.
Ono što radimo u iskustvu rekonektivnog iscjeljenja je da otpuštamo ono što nismo mi. Ono što ostaje smo mi, iscjeljenje i primanje.
If you want complication, you can study rocket science, but rocket scientists are not necessarily facilitating a lot of healing.
Ako želite komplikacije, možete učiti znanost o raketama, ali ljudi koji znaju raditi rakete najčešće baš i nisu možda najbolji izbor za iscjeljenje.
Go ahead, Samir, sorry.
No, I was just wanted to say something, but I forgot now. Doesn't matter. We have a few more questions.
It will come back. I see them. You want to choose them and we'll talk?
Yeah, we have one, which is what is the difference between in-person session or distance healing session?
Comfort of the personality and the ego.
Dakle, utjeha osobe i ega.
Don't some of these answers just sound like shitty little excuses?
Zar vam neki od ovih odgovora ne zvuči samo kao šugavi mali izgovori?
There's no distance.
Nema udaljenosti.
There's no time.
Nema vremena.
Reconnective healing experience is no more or less effective if you and I are in the same room in a house, different rooms in a house, or different continents.
Iskustvo rekonektivnog iscjeljenja nije ništa drugačije, ovisno o tome jesmo li u istoj sobi u kući, u različitim sobama, u istoj kući ili na različitim kontinentima.
There is only the personality, the ego that confuses the appearance of separation and thinks of it as otherness.
Jedina stvar koja postoji su osobnost i ego koji ima pogrešnu predodžbu.
It makes us want to send a healing.
Želimo slati iscjeljenje.
Or be sent a healing.
Ili da nama bude poslano iscjeljenje.
When one of us intends to send a healing, what we are saying is that we are separate, distinct, and absolutely not one.
Kada želimo poslati iscjeljenje, ono što šaljemo je to da smo odvojeni, da smo odijeljeni i da nismo jedno.
How can I send something from New York to Moscow without there having to be a space in between? How can I send something from me to you without there being a distance?
Kako mogu poslati nešto iz New Yorka do Moskve ako između toga ne postoji nekakav put? Kako mogu poslati nešto od sebe vama ako između toga ne postoji udaljenost?
Yet in the recognition that we are all one, I am able to receive simultaneously, so are you.
Ali ako shvatimo da smo svi jedno, onda mogu primati istovremeno kad i vi.
You are one with the person that you love as you recognize the meaning of the word love, and yet healing is love.
Vi ste jedno sa osobom koju volite dok prepoznajete smisao riječi ljubav i vi ste ljubav.
So I actually forgot the original question. I don't know whether I answered it or not.
U stvari sam zaboravio originalno pitanje i nisam siguran jesam li odgovorio na njega. So it was, what's the difference between direct work or working?
Nothing. It's however you feel most comfortable.
Dakle, možete raditi što god je vama najugodnije.
So it's like enjoy the illusion or get over the illusion.
Možete ili uživati u iluziji ili preći preko iluzije.
And let's not get caught up in the illusion no matter how it manifests.
I nemojte se zapetljati u iluziju bez obzira kako se ona manifestira.
And when that becomes a bit of a challenge to us, then we get to go, guess I'm having a little bit more of a healing here than I had originally recognized.
I kad nam se to dogodi, onda možemo reći, izgleda da dobio malo više iscjeljenja nego što sam originalno mislio.
I like that translation.
Thank you.
You want another question, Samir?
We have
I
one
see
more
Naveda
question.
has one. Yeah, go ahead.
Let me read it. My friend had 3 sessions of reconnective healing, and after that she figured out that when she meditates, she can feel the energy in a part of the body she focuses in. When she pays attention to the hand and fingers start to move unwillingly. How would you explain that? And is there a way that for her to use the energy in a good way?
Okay.
So I will translate it very, very quickly if that's no problem. Dakle, moja prijatelj ili prijateljica imala 3 sesije rekonektivnog iscjeljivanja i nakon toga je shvatila da kad meditira može osjećati energiju u dijelu tijela na koji se fokusira. Na primjer, kad obrati pažnju na ruku i na prste, prsti se počinju micati sami od sebe. Kako biste to objasnili i postoji li neki način da koriste tu energiju na dobar način? Hvala vam.
So I'll answer the first part of the question and then remind me to get to the last part.
Ok, dakle prvo ću odgovoriti na prvi dio odgovora pa ćemo ga podsjetiti da odgovori na zadnji.
You know, the way I would have interpreted that in the beginning is the way your friend is probably interpreting it now.
Način na koji bih to interpretirao na početku je vjerojatno način na koji to vaša prijateljica sad interpretira.
That when she pays attention to it in certain parts of her body, the energy kind of shows up there and the body responds.
Da kad se fokusira na određeni dio tijela, energija se pojavljuje u tom dijelu tijela i to pokazuje.
In reality, the energy, light, and information, the intelligence of the reconnective healing frequencies is always everywhere.
U stvarnosti, energija svjetlosti i informacija rekonektivnog isciljivanja je uvijek svuda.
It doesn't turn on and off or move to different areas of the body.
Ona se ne uključuje, ne isključuje i ne ide u različite dijelove tijela.
It's not the distance between New York and Moscow.
To nije udaljenost između New Yorka i Moskve.
It is only our awareness that sort of lights up over here or comes over there. We allow ourselves to become aware of it in our mental, illusory perspective of there's one place and there's another place and there's someplace else.
Radi se samo o našoj svjesnosti koja nam dozvoljava da zasvijetli tu energiju u nekim dijelovima tijela. Mi se dozvolimo da postanemo svjesni energije u određenom dijelu tijela i da nam tamo zasvijetli.
When I would feel it in my hands in the beginning, I go, oh, my hand just turned itself on.
Kad sam je u početku osjetio u prstima, pomislio bih, moja ruka se upravo aktivirala.
Good thing I didn't have to change the light bulb.
Na sreću nisam morao mijenjati žarulje.
It is simply us allowing ourselves to be conscious of the awareness that you are comprised of.
Radi se samo o tome da sami sebi dozvoljavamo postati svjesni onoga od čega smo stvoreni.
You are not physical matter that's emanating energy or consciousness.
Vi niste fizička tvar koja isijava svjesnost.
As science used to think and used to teach us.
Kako je nekad znanost podučavala.
You are consciousness, awareness, energy that is manifesting itself in what we consider this here and now in physical four-dimensional form.
Vi ste svjesnost energije koja se manifestira u onome što percipiramo kao sada i ovdje.
And so when our attention goes certain places and we allow ourselves to let go, we suddenly see what we call the registers, involuntary body movements sometimes.
Tako da kad naša namjera nam dozvoli da odemo negdje, onda se koncentriramo na taj dio i čini nam se kao da imamo nesvjesna pomicanja dijelova tijela.
That's just the dissolving of otherness. So make yourself a cup of tea, sit back and enjoy it.
To je samo rastapanje drugosti, tako da napravite si samo malo čaja, ugodno se zavalite i uživajte u tome.
Sometimes we go, oh, I don't know if I like the feeling.
Ponekad da si kažemo, nisam siguran da li mi se sviđa ovaj osjećaj.
Feeling is neutral. We are the ones who assign it in our minds as being pleasant or unpleasant, strong or light.
Osjećaj je neutralan. Radi se o onome što naš mozak, što naš pridaje tom osjećaju, da li je dobar, da li je loš, da li je jak, da li je slab.
So enjoy it while it feels new and unanticipated and in all the forms it shows up in, because when you relax into it later, if it stops, I promise you one thing.
Uživajte u njemu dok je nov, dok je neočekivan, u svim načinima na koje se manifestira.
Whether you think you like it or you think you don't.
Kasnije, obećavam vam, bez obzira da li sad mislite da vam se sviđa ili ne,
you're gonna miss it when it stops playing those games with you, if you get really used to it. And you know what? When you get really used to it, you just become it. And you're not even always just thinking about it.
nedostajat će vam kad se naviknete na to, jer jednostavno prestat ćete razmišljati o tome.
But here's the second part of the question I promised to answer.
I evo drugog dijela odgovora na pitanje koje sam obećao.
Is there a way for her to use the energy in a good way?
Postoji li način da se ta energija koristi na dobar način?
Not really.
Ne baš.
There's no way for her to do that.
Nema načina da to radi.
There's no technique. There's no method. There's no way.
Nema tehnike, nema puta.
And it can't be used in a bad way.
I ne može se koristiti na negativan način.
It just is. It's wonderful. And really, how nice.
Jednostavno jest i to je prekrasno i lijepo.
It upsets a lot of people in the healing world who want to teach you fears and protections.
To uznemirava puno ljude u svijetu iscjeljivanja koji žele govoriti o strahovima i zaštitama.
And sometimes people will say, well, I just use these protections, but I'm not afraid.
Nekad ljudi govore, ja koristim ove zaštite, ali se u stvari ne bojim.
When was the last time you protected yourself from anything that you weren't afraid of? Really?
Kada ste se zadnji put štitili od nečega čega se ne bojite?
No, I mean, really.
Stvarno.
And fear creates more fear. And every time we use a protection, we look for better protections because fear is creating more fear.
Strah stvara još straha. Svaki put kad koristimo neku zaštitu, tražimo još bolju zaštitu jer strah stvara strah.
And yet fear is only the absence of love.
A strah je u stvari samo odsustvo ljubavi.
Like darkness is the absence of light.
Kao što je mrak odsustvo svjetlosti.
Like illusion is the absence of being cognitively aware of who we are.
Kao što je iluzija odsustvo svjesnosti onoga što jesmo.
Energy, light, and information.
Energija, svjetlost i informacija.
God, love, being.
Bog, ljubav, postojanje.
And none of those things are ever in jeopardy. None of those things ever experience fear. And none of those things ever require protection.
Nijedna od tih stvari nije ugrožena, nijedna od tih stvari ne osjeća strah i nijedna od tih stvari ne zahtjeva zaštitu.
The next time someone teaches you how to protect yourself by doing this or doing that or tries to sell you a piece of jewelry to protect yourself,
sljedeći put kad vam netko pokuša reći kako se zaštititi, kad vam pokuša prodati komad nakita kojima ćete se zaštititi,
say, thank you, I am essence, I am God, I am love, I am energy, light and information.
Zahvalite im i recite ja sam esencija, ja sam svjetlost, ja sam Bog, ja sam informacija.
I am.
Ja jesam.
And the I am that each of us is never in jeopardy, never needs protection, is not in fear. We just are. I am.
I taj ja jesam nikad nije u opasnosti, nikad ne treba zaštitu. On jednostavno jest. Ja jesam.
And we can say, oh, I can think about that, and we can try to interpret this from our thinking minds, but it's not answered there.
I možete razmisliti, reći ja ću razmisliti o tome, možete to pokušati interpretirati kroz svoj razmišljajući ali to nije tamo.
The reconnective healing experience allows you to have finite experiences of the infinite.
Iskustvo rekonektivnog iscjeljivanja vam omogućava da imate
finite experiences
uobličena iskustva neograničenog.
And once you experience the infinite, you know it.
I jednom kad ćete iskusiti neograničeno, znat ćete to.
And once you know something, you can't unknow it.
Jednom kad nečega postanete svjesni, ne možete to više zaboraviti.
You simply expand into it.
Jednostavno se proširite u to.
You evolve into the awareness that you are awareness and being and love and light.
Jednostavno evoluirate u svjesnost, evoluirate u ono što jeste, u ljubav i u svjetlost.
You're going to learn how to facilitate and receive so much more than Jillian or I could possibly convey in words.
Naučit ćete kako omogućiti i primiti puno više od onoga što Jillian i ja možemo pretočiti u riječi.
Samir is going to open doors for you, and yet it won't be his words that open the door.
Svemir će vam otvoriti vrata, ali neće biti njegove riječi te koje će vam otvoriti vrata.
Well, in a way they will. They will crack the door.
Na neki način hoće, one će napraviti pukotine u tim vratima.
So crack the door open into your experience of the infinite.
Otvorit će vam, odškrinut će vam vrata u vaše iskustvo beskraja.
And afterwards you will never be the same.
I nakon toga više nikad nećete biti isti.
So I hope you like it because there's no going back.
Nadam se da vam se to sviđa jer nema povratka.
And when you allow yourself to be in infinite, judgment and ego disappears. There's no longer concern about who can do it better than someone else or me, because there just is no better. There is no judgment. There's simply infinite.
Jednom kad to napravite, nema više prosuđivanja, nema više suđenja, nema više ega, nema više razmišljanja tko to može napraviti bolje od vas. Postoji samo beskraj.
I am so excited for you to have this unveiled and revealed this very first time in this phenomenal manner.
Jako sam uzbuđen što će vam se po prvi puta skinuti koprena i što će vam ovo biti otkriveno prvi put.
And you are so fortunate to be honored by Svamir being your guide into this.
I tako ste sretni što ste počašćeni imati Svemira za vodiča kroz ovo.
The only thing that keeps me from being a little bit jealous of you for having this very first, real expansion, this dive into the Rekonektiv healing experience and into the Catalyst program.
Jedina stvar koja me sprečava da vam budem zavidan na ovome što ćete sada osjetiti, što ćete uroniti u ovo iskustvo,
is the remembering, I should say, that every Rekonektiv healing experience is new each and every time.
Je shvaćanje, u stvari sjećanje, da je svako rekonektivno iscjeljivanje u stvari kao da prvi puta ulazite u to, kao da ga ponovo otkrivate.
New for the client, new for the facilitator, new.
Novo je za klijenta, novo je za praktičara, novo je.
So I have to say, unless there are more questions or discussions or Samir, wherever you want to lead this.
We don't have any more questions.
That's good. No one can put up with any of my long, wordy answers anymore, huh?
Nitko se više ne može nositi sa mojim dugim odgovorima.
No, I don't think so.
I love when people say, wait, just one more. This is a short question.
Volim kad me ljudi kažu, samo još nešto, molim vas, imam jedno vrlo kratko pitanje.
And sometimes it is.
I ponekad je.
But it's almost never a short answer.
Ali gotovo nikad odgovor nije kratak.
There is just one note in chat that Carmen is telling you to come again to Croatia at some point. And I'm joining to her to say that it would be great to see you again. And I would like to thank you for tonight conversation and discussion. It was very beautiful and very inspiring. I svima ostalima se zahvaljujem što ste se odazvali današnjem našem razgovoru. Želim vam ugodnu večer i pridružite nam se na seminaru rekonektivnog iscjeljivanja koji ćemo imati krajem svibnja u Zagrebu. Ugodnu večer i lijep pozdrav.
Well, thank you. We'll come for the food, we'll come for the music, we'll come for all of you.
Hvala vam. Doći ćemo za hranu i glazbu zbog svih vas.
But I wouldn't dream of taking this program out of Samir's tremendous hands, because that is a gift that belongs to you.
Ali ne bi mi palo na pamet da vam iz ruku, da ovaj prekrasan dar vama uzmem iz svemirovih ruku, jer to što to svemir vodi je u stvari ogroman dar za sve vas.
All of you.
Za sve vas.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
For allowing me to come. Thank you.
Thank you. There was a note from Ms. Elisaveta Pajčić, who said, great thank you to Dr. Pearl. Seminar, Rekonektiv seminar in 2009 has completely changed my life. Thank you, Svemir.
Thank you. There's a lot more to come. Bye, everyone.
Još puno toga nas čeka.
Bye.
Doviđenja. Bye. Thank you very much.
Hvala Anđela tebi na super prijevodu. Velika hvala.
Hvala vama svima. Thank you all.
Hvala. I can't quite say hvala.
Hvala. Yes, that's right.
Love from Jillian and me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hvala. Bye.
Thank you.
Doviđenja.